Hello and welcome to the final episode of the morning after the Euros. Unfortunately, we won't be reviewing the finals because of work commitments. One, and also this episode is relating to the preview of the finals and the review of the England-Denmark game. By the way, we'll be back next week onwards, normal time, Wednesday, for a podcast. So do check on that. We are also going to put that podcast regularly on YouTube and not just on Spotify or on Apple iTunes. But having said that, yeah, I don't even want to go for it, dude. Go.
Yeah, we are not going to talk about the fact that England won just because of the penalty, right? Like that's not the reason why they won.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
were better. They were the better team. They deserved the win, right? Like
yeah. Make the point. Make the point. Yeah,
yeah, like no, I'm just trying to be sure about it because that's something that suggestion really irritates me. And if you're going to talk about it, then I may as well like if you're going to suggest that, then there's no point to this, right? Like then what's the point of us watching the games? Like
yeah. No,
I mean, this suggestion that like yeah, it's a harsh penalty. I understand. Fair. I right. That's correct. That's true. It shouldn't have been given. It wasn't a penalty. And the problem with VAR, like I'll just clear the air on this. Like why VAR didn't overturn it. Like how I perceive it is basically because there was some contact with Raheem Sterling that was there by Milda. Like I'm not pronouncing the name correctly, but yeah, you know the person, like number 5 for Denmark, basically.
yeah,
And there was a little bit of contact, and that little bit of contact will guarantee the fact that VAR will not overturn that decision. And that's the problem with VAR. That's the problem we have with VAR in terms of penalty area fouls and stuff like that. That just the fact that there was contact will justify that it's not a clear and obvious error on the referee's part. That's the part we have to rectify. We have to look at exactly what the problem is here. That's why I'm trying to emphasize it,
yeah,
because that's important for everyone to realize. That's the reason why this was a problem. Like if you really look at how officiating has gone down in the past with relations to VAR and with what VAR states, like it has to be clear and obvious error that will overturn a decision. This is what justifies that it not that the referee's decision was correct, even though when you go back and you just look at it as an incident, it's not supposed to be a penalty. It's not a penalty. But
it's a contact sport, man. Oh,
it and I think honestly the rub of the green just it goes against you sometimes, honestly. Like even Denmark's free kick I felt was quite soft. The free kick Damsgaard scored from, like I'm not it doesn't justify the penalty. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to imply what you were suggesting, that these things happen in football. Like football is not a sport full with always, it won't always be objective and it won't always be correct. Like it's humans. When humans are playing a particular sport, there is always going to be error, and we have to accept that. And that is why I'm quite happy with the fact that England won, because I thought they were better on the night and I thought they deserved it. And this is a very likable group of players and a very likable manager who understands his job. That is something that has been a huge problem in international football, a person understanding their job. He's not making the decisions because the fans are suggesting him to make the decision. He's making the decisions because he's analyzing his opponents and he's trying to find out ways and to actually win the games, and he's doing that. So I think England deserved it, and this was just the Southgate and the boys deserve it. That's all. Yeah.
yeah. I just want to
Go ahead.
counter your point because, of course, I think the only game that, because in my recent memory, the game that comes to my mind in terms of a team deserving it, in spite of the other team having had an unfair decision go against their way, was the England-Germany game in the 2010 World Cup when Frank Lampard scored and it bounced in, it crossed the line.
But
And
Germany were better that game. They just were.
It was, yeah, that's the thing. But if Germany would have won 2-1, then of course there would have been big talk. And this, because it's
well,
a game
it still
of
is.
fine
The English
margins,
are still really are stung by it.
yeah,
Like that decision would not change the game. Germany were objectively better. They were the better side. They were better prepared.
because this is a fine, it's a game of errors and it's a low scoring sport. The fact that England only scored one goal and it was that contributing penalty, which
Hmm.
actually led to the events. They played well,
Hmm.
fine. If
Yeah.
it wasn't for the penalty, hindsight is a beautiful thing. For you, you
Yeah.
might say England might have they
Yeah.
made like 4 new substitutes, so they might have more
Yeah.
energy to like get the goal in extra time. But
Hmm.
from my hindsight, it would be like the Danes pulling it off until the penalties, and then it's a lottery. Then you
Yeah,
cannot say
you're very well justified in thinking that way, but you're at least your idea is not that England don't deserve this and they fucking suck and
no.
fuck these
The
guys, and
last
like
the
that
last
that's my problem. That's my problem with the people who take that stance. i
the
i
last
appreciate your stance, honestly.
the last 3 minutes, I was like, oh wow. I mean, they were not like wasting time, but the way they were like having the ball,
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
Yeah,
come
I
on,
loved that too.
just
Yeah, that was
misplace,
so
just
good.
misplace one ball, just misplace one ball, and the
And the
Danes,
fans, like the way the fans were
yeah,
reacting to it, and like
yes, yeah.
that's another thing. Like there's a few things that I could talk about in this game, and like just to finish off that penalty point that was there. I mean, honestly, the problem is we have to, as I was talking, the first thing I talked about when we start talking about the penalty was the fact that you have to identify the flaws in the system. It's not England's fault. It's not Southgate's fault. It's the fault with, it's not even the referee's fault. It's the fault with how this system has been perceived and how it has been, how the laws have been placed.
In another
Like you have to
universe,
modify this. It's the clear and obvious thing. I hated it when they introduced it,
yeah.
and I hate it now, and they have to rectify this.
I
That
mean,
is
in
where the problem is. Like
yeah,
point out the problem, and we have to work on that, because screaming at England or screaming. And another thing that is there with this is, like, I just want to complete this, money. uh, it's very disrespectful when you suggest that these decisions directly, like, a team doesn't deserve it or a team didn't, because it's not just disrespectful to England, it's disrespectful to their opponents. It's disrespectful to Denmark in this case when you suggest that the game was won only because of that one decision. Like, it's a game of 120 minutes. These guys have put in everything they had for 120 minutes, and you determining that this game only changed hands because of that one decision is disrespectful to everybody who was involved in this game.
yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, I just wanted to say
No,
like,
no, your point is different. You're not. That's not the point you were trying to make.
no,
You
no,
were
no. I
just
have a new point. My new
go
point
ahead,
was,
go ahead, man.
in
Go
another
ahead.
universe, like Denmark are getting the call. Like
Yeah.
they are on the other side of this coin, and
Well, that's what happened with Italy, right? They kind of got lucky with their win, didn't
you know,
they? Like Spain were objectively better. They created the better chances, but
once Spain
yeah,
scored with Morata, then they were like obviously the superior team. But
yeah,
you could see it. But yeah, in penalties,
yeah.
England
That's
were not
that's
good.
kind of how sports works.
Yeah,
That's and that's what makes it fun for us. Like, uh,
the unpredictability.
yeah, like the fact that sometimes the luck does not favor you, even though you were objectively, like the metrics and everything would suggest that you were the better team, but
Mhm.
the result
Yeah,
will not justify that, and that's what makes it.
it's how much hard work you eventually put in and how good you are. I mean, you can be a good person, you can be a good athlete, you can be a likable
Hmm.
athlete, but in
Hmm.
that universe, Juan Del Potro is winning all the Grand Slams, and he's not being injured the way he's injured because he's the
Hmm.
nicest man on tour. We are talking about a small tennis reference here, or
Yeah.
maybe yeah,
Yeah,
in
big man,
football,
big serve. Yeah, like that
yeah.
describes
I
Martin Del
mean, in
Potro, right?
football, like who are the nice people? Like in a perfect sense, like Denmark should be winning at least this championship, and then the
The narrative would
2016.
want that to happen because
Yeah,
they've been through so much in the past few days, and that I don't know, like the suggestion that that's why they are so good, they have done so well in this tournament, is
no,
again very
the
disrespectful
thing,
to
yeah, this is
suggest.
the thing with
No,
the
because it has
pundits.
been suggested, Mani. It's not something that came out of my brain. I'm not. I assure you, we've been talking about about this competition and our love for it. Like there is so much respect from our perspective. Like it feels weird saying it, but like there is. I honestly, I think, I believe that both of us respect the sport too much to suggest that the Ericsson thing actually is the reason why Denmark are here. That's not. They're
Yeah,
here because they put in the effort, they put in the craft, and they planned their games and they executed their plans, and like there's so much involved in this. That's
yeah,
part of it. That's part of why there is so much emotion behind them and there is so much support behind them, but that's not the reason why this Danish team was in the semifinals of this competition.
yeah. This is the thing, like with the pundits and with people who are like a one-off on Twitter. They don't follow the sport. Like even like we are not the ones following the Danish team a lot, but we even like go back
at least watch the YouTube clips, or at least do some research
Or listen to somebody
about
who knows
how.
what they're talking about. That's important as well,
Yeah,
right?
if you want to follow a particular team, just listen to the English podcast. Of course, depending on which language you, of course, like want to listen to
Hmm.
it. But I'm pretty sure like so many fans from different countries are like following this, like the ultra fans, then the real fan base who make podcasts about the journey of the team. And this Danish team has been on such a upward curve since
Hmm.
2018, or even like you can also start with the World Cup in 18 when they just lost out on penalties with the
Hmm.
finalist Croatia. So it's not
Hmm.
like they've just come out of nowhere. This is the thing with
Yeah.
the Croatia Denmark cycle. Denmark
Hmm.
is at this phase where Croatia was in the 2018 World Cup.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
That's an interesting
yeah.
way to look
So
at it. Yeah.
and where Denmark were in 2018, that's where Croatia was in the
But I think this team
2016
is younger. I
Euros.
think Croatia were a lot more peaking. Like they were
Yeah.
at the peak of their powers as a side, right? I
Hmm.
think this Denmark team has still quite a ways to go because
Yeah.
Damsgaard, their best player right now, I think like we can both, I think,
Oh
agree on
my
that.
God, that
He's
was
he's 21 years old and he's not even gotten his big move and stuff. So
how
we can
illegal
expect
was
a
that
lot
free
from.
kick? How illegal was that free kick? Tell me.
That was. I thought Pickford could have done better, but when you look
Well,
at it,
small
was a
arms, you can't
knuckleball
do.
finish, right?
Yeah, I mean he's got small
Yeah,
arms. What do you blame?
yeah.
But oh, that
There was a dip to it. There was a dip to it.
that
I
dip.
watched it again and I realized there's a dip to it that makes it amazing. Like
Wow.
the Rashford free kick or the Ronaldo free kick.
Ronaldo
Like
one,
those are the
yeah,
two examples I can come up with because those are the ones I've seen. I think I'm pretty sure somebody else has executed. You
yeah.
brought up one very important thing that I want to talk about.
Go on.
Like in relation to the Twitter and the non. I think the fact that we were so irritated by how the English media and the English fans and those guys like the "It's coming home" chant and the opposite is also a huge problem, isn't it? Like especially with the penalty and stuff like that. Like making jokes about it and making memes about it is fine. That's part of like that's part of Twitter. But
Yeah.
some people are so dismissive and it's so disrespectful. I brought up the disrespect thing. There is so much disrespect for these guys. Like we don't respect people and their professions enough in this world. Honestly, we don't. Like
Hmm.
from a footballer to a doctor to anybody. Like nowadays, like there's so many throwaway things that people say. I mean, it's so. And another obsession that people have, especially people who are in our line of things, like we are podcasting and I write about it as well, right? So there's a concept of prediction. Me and you, we don't particularly enjoy it because that's not what
We
that
enjoy being
like
wrong. That's why we make the predictions.
yeah, we make the predictions just because we're
We
talking
want
about the
to.
games.
Yeah.
But quite a lot of people are like they'll write about it and like I'm not even joking. Like I saw so many screenshots and then there was a suggestion that please tell me what you predicted correctly so that we can write it down and we can make snippets out of it. And I was like, that's not what this is about. That's not what this sport is about. That's not why I'm following this. I don't want to be right. I don't care about being right. I
Mhm.
want to care about learning and I want to care about knowing more about this sport
Yeah.
and watching new things and understanding why things do happen the way they do. Like that's just patting yourself on the back and that doesn't accomplish anything. Like yeah,
Yeah.
like somebody's putting in a WhatsApp group, oh dude, I predicted this all along. I knew this was going to happen.
Yeah. Well, you
Like
should have bet
okay,
and won some money.
yeah,
That's my
I
call
don't
for
even
that.
care about that because that money you're winning, you're not
Yeah.
getting any of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That's your own personal. You can be happy with that. Be happy with it. If you're betting about it, that's different. That's still at least you put something, some stakes to it. When you just put it in a article or something like that, that's just to be like just to if it would have been wrong, nobody would have brought it up, and that's
Yeah.
not even the point here. Like
Hmm.
it's just I don't understand this desperation to be right. Like being right doesn't prove that you understand the game. It to me it proves the opposite, personally speaking. To me it proves that you're not really in it to learn, and because from I just look at it as a learning perspective. Like I am talking to you because you will tell me things, then if somebody's watching this they will talk to me about it and they will tell me things, so I
Yeah.
learn more, I understand more. I it's from the perspective that a lot of people look at it from. I don't watch football to be right, or I don't care about football to be right. I care about it because I love it and I want to enjoy it and I want to
Yeah.
learn more about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know. That just really irritates me, man. Yeah.
we are doing this podcast anyways without any rewards or recognition. We are not even like putting it
We
for
don't
the
even market
clickbaits.
it.
Yeah, no, like we couldn't care less. Our only objective is to like yeah, look back at it somewhere, some years down the line, and just
and
have a
express
laugh.
ourselves about it. I
Yeah.
think it's a form of expression, right? I
Mm-hmm.
personally really enjoy talking about it because it helps me. You're able to consolidate your thoughts, and you're
Yeah.
more confident with your thoughts because you have to present it to someone.
And it's also
And
such a sorry, it's also such a beautiful escape for us. Like
yes,
for you
exactly.
to get
Yes,
out of
yes.
bed, for me to like keep my mind busy instead of like my life just
Hmm.
going, yeah, personal stuff
Yeah, some things are
aside.
happening in our lives, and
Yeah.
some things that we can't control also. And
Mm,
there is a help, like this helps you express yourself and like talk about things you love. Like who doesn't love doing that, right? Like
yeah.
because I'm a very talkative person, this I love the fact that I'm able to podcast, and I love the fact that we're doing this. We're doing this late in the evening, right? We generally do this early in the
Yeah.
morning.
Yeah.
And that became part of my schedule, and I used to wake up and I'll be like, okay, this is what I'm going to talk about today. These are the things that I really want to bring up. Like
Yeah.
I brought up a couple of things that we're talking about today. Like there's a joy to it, and there's a joy to discussing it, and then ask like other people understanding where you're coming from, and
Yeah.
connecting with you on it,
But
right? It's very important.
there's
Yeah,
I mean, there's no attitude towards like being accepting, and like I think we've agreed on a lot of points throughout our discussion in the last month or
yeah.
3.5 weeks. Apart from a
Hmm.
counterpoint that I made, it took us like the last episode for me to disagree on you, like on a high magnitude. But
Hmm.
we've agreed on a lot of points, and with our predictions, of course, we wanted to keep it different,
And
so
we've
we
tried
did
to
not agree.
understand each other. That's very important. We've tried to
Yeah.
understand where the other person is coming from.
Yeah.
That's
But
I don't care about us agreeing, honestly. I
yeah.
just care that I've been able to tell something from my perspective that you are able to understand, and you don't have to agree with it, but at least you understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's no openness towards interpretation and towards opinions. That's what I don't like it. And this is supposed to be a platform to like, yeah, agree and
You hit the nail
disagree.
on the head. There has to be openness. It's supposed to be an opinion. There is no right or wrong here.
Mm,
You're telling how you look at it, and you try and understand other ways of looking at it.
yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, on that note, we have to preview. Wait, let's just touch upon last
Let's
bit.
talk a bit about the actual game. Actually, let's talk
Yeah.
about some of the performances. Let's talk about Kasper Schmeichel. He was excellent. He was
He
so
was
good.
everywhere. I
He
mean,
was so good.
yeah. So, yeah.
The Maguire save, and he like a couple of an interesting thing that I don't know
The
if I'm
Sterling
right,
save
but
as well just before
yeah, like
they scored.
he didn't some of the like the penalty, it's kind of impossible, right, for you to be able to cushion it or something like that.
Yeah.
But a couple of saves that Kasper Schmeichel made when he was completely outstretched, he wasn't trying to palm it away, he was trying to palm it down so that it's as close to him or a Danish defender
Yeah.
around him, because
Yeah.
he knew if he pushed it away, the English players who are obviously going to be a bit further away from goal, they
Mhm.
might have a chance to get on it. But
Yeah.
he's trying to cushion it a couple of times so that it's as close to him and the Danish players as possible, so that
Yeah.
they can
Is this
control the ball
is
from
this
there or clear it or something. Yeah.
the penalty you're talking about, or the stretch save?
No, I think there was a the Maguire save also. He tried to do it. He tried to palm it downwards because he knew there's a couple of Danish guys around him, so
Mhm.
that the ball is easily cleared. And I think there was another save that he made, that he wasn't trying to push it too much. He was trying to actually have some sort of control on it,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
tells you a keeper who's absolutely in control of
Yeah.
what's
And
going
so
on in that
confident about
particular
what he's
situation.
doing on the pitch, and
Exactly.
yeah, he
Yeah.
knows his game so
Even
well.
off the pitch, we talked about how he was confident. He got shit for it. Did you know that? I thought it was so stupid. Like, why would you give him shit for it?
Well, they need something to talk about just before the game. Yeah, but that's not important. We've bashed them a lot, and they don't deserve any more of our attention. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I think like it was it was quite an awesome game. Like compared to the other semi-final, which was great as well, but this was like it
This
had
was
all the elements of nice
that was more
football.
technical. Like that was more of a like if you wanted to see development and like actually methodical ways of playing football, like the tiki taka techniques that have been developed, and the Italian ways, like
Mhm.
this Italian side is quite new generation, right? They don't play
Yeah,
like the old Italian teams.
yeah,
Like it was a more of an exhibition of football, that the first semi-final. This was more an exhibition of the passion of the game, and
yeah,
how like there was a confidence about the English and the Danish players in what they were executing. Like
mhm,
Like it was a different kind of enjoyment, like from the first game, even because the first game was played at such a high technical standard.
Oh
And
yeah,
even this one, like
they
the
were.
level of mistakes that you make that could cost you, is the margin of error was so less, you could feel it. And the
Mhm.
fans were there, the
The
passion was there,
tension
you
was
could
there.
really,
Yeah, so
yeah.
much. Yeah, but like, yeah,
The
you.
fans make the game, dude. Honestly, the game would have been even half as good, right? I would have enjoyed it much more
Yeah.
than any game I watched in lockdown, because the fans make the game. Like there is no doubt about it. Like 60,000, you could feel the 60,000, and it was
Mhm.
so. I was so happy with it.
Yeah.
Like yeah, England have had have had. It's definitely not fair how this tournament has been organized in
Yeah.
terms of travel and stuff like that. It's so ridiculous how poorly it's been organized.
But
But
we can just consider it as like in England hosting it and Italy hopefully winning it.
yeah, I
Because they
don't know.
played.
It's still unfair. It still stings, honestly. Even if England was hosting it, even then, like every game would be in England, right? So the team won't have to travel that much. They'll have their
Yeah.
bases, and they'll
Yeah.
most of their games would be not too far, because it's not a huge country, as
Mm.
quite obviously we know. I mean, it is unfair. Like that point that anybody raises, that the fact that the Danish team had to travel so much and that's why they got exhausted, that's fair. Because if you look at basketball, and like they've observed this, especially with the pandemic and the bubble that they had to make for last year's finals,
Yeah.
like last year's playoffs, like there was a difference, and the players were able to tell you the differences. They were, because obviously they're involved, so they know
Yeah.
exactly how these things work. And like there were pros and cons to it. But in here, when you're in this kind of situation, like the pros and cons are different, and England were definitely gained an advantage from it.
Yeah. Right. I think because like we already compared like the last first semi-final being very technical, each other
Hmm.
sides canceling out each other. Then this second semi-final, beautiful uh, football is being flowing, and there's little margin for error, and then you get to see a beautiful free kick and an awesome counter attack, and then an awesome
Hmm.
missed counter attack by Denmark, and then yeah, second half fizzled out a little bit, but extra time again it came alive until
Yeah, but
until
even
the
extra time, I think England were the team who were in the
yeah.
ascendance, and I think uh, I think we need to give a lot of flowers to a lot of players. Raheem Sterling,
Mhm.
I would he be your player of the tournament right now? Would you nominate him as? He must be. He has to be nominated, right?
Yeah, he will be nominated, but for me,
He deserves to be nominated, right? He's been so good. Like he's been England's best player. Like there is no doubt about it.
yeah.
And like the irony, right? Like honestly, I can't speak to it too much, like because I'm not black, so I don't directly associate with how Raheem Sterling feels. Like we are both come from minority backgrounds, but it's not the same. The experience, the culture is not the same. But for somebody who's been under so much scrutiny by the same media who's applauding him so much right now, deservedly and undeservedly, then, because he didn't deserve this, a lot of the shit. Like buying a house for your mom does not deserve grief. Like that's supposed to be a positive. That's supposed to
Yeah.
be a happy incident.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, I don't
there's
even
so
want to
much, like if
go to
you
that example.
if somebody, like my kid bought me a house, I would be so proud of him, and it would be such a happy occasion. But he's been treated so disgracefully, and he's given so much to the country who has treated him so poorly,
Yeah.
like in terms of at least the media thing that we've seen when he's become a footballer.
Hmm.
And flowers to him, man. He's been excellent this tournament. There was so much skepticism around him before the tournament, and
Yeah,
he
because
has
he did not
proved.
have a nice season with Manchester City. Like
Yeah,
how?
well, because but he's been trusted by Southgate, and Southgate
Yeah.
has absolutely hit the nail on the head, because
Yeah.
What Sterling is able to do, and what Southgate wanted him to do, he's executed that. So it's just different types of philosophies, right? Like he didn't have a great season with Guardiola, because Guardiola's playing style changed. He modified his playing style for a bit, and other players were able to provide better to what Guardiola wanted, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Mhm.
that's the thing with Manchester City having such a huge squad. Like Riyad Mahrez, what he was providing to the team was definitely better than what Sterling was able to provide to the team, and that is why
Sure.
Mahrez was the one who was important to them.
Hmm.
That's just it. I think, like when you're with such a talented group of players, the
Yeah.
margins between those guys will be very less. And
Yeah.
obviously, Guardiola is going to pick what's best for the team. So different team, different requirements. Sterling is fulfilling the requirements that it doesn't. The fact that he didn't play a lot for Man City last season doesn't really we've been proven wrong in thinking that there is something wrong with Sterling. No, that was just a different system.
Yeah. Also, the fact that he didn't play a lot, he's really like at a point where he can express more and he has more energy to.
And he's fitter also than a lot
Yeah,
of
he's
the
fitter.
guys,
Yeah.
right? He
Yeah.
hasn't had that exertion. Like Bruno Fernandes looked dead. He looked dead when he was playing for Portugal. He had played so much football. I don't know how Harry Maguire is doing it, man. Like, it's so impressive how, like, if he hadn't been injured and he hadn't gotten that break for 4 weeks, I
Yeah.
don't know what condition he would have turned up to in the turned
Mhm.
up in the Euros. And like, that's been a huge factor. Like, the fact that these guys have been put through the runner, and it's been the fact that they're still standing on most of this English team and the Italian team, it's
Yeah.
very impressive.
Yeah. I don't know when was the last time a goalkeeper won a best player of the tournament award. Maybe back when during the Soviet Union ruling football.
Yashin likely, I guess.
Yeah. Because for me, Donnarumma was there at the right time.
I
at the
didn't
right
I didn't think
moment.
about this at all. Like, I never thought about Donnarumma as being one of the nominees, but
Yeah.
you're not wrong.
Because
Like,
the Belgium
props to the
game was
guy.
their biggest hurdle.
Yeah, and he was excellent in that game. He was so vital in that game. Even Austria, he had a role to play. Like, he's had a role to play in every game that these guys have played.
Yeah.
Like, group stages, maybe not that much, because Italy were just better in the group stages than any of the opponents they faced.
Yeah.
But like, when you need him, Donnarumma turns up, and he turned up against Spain also. He was
Made
the
a couple of saves,
Morata
no?
penalty save. Like, yeah, you might blame Morata for missing it, but you have to save. Any penalty save is excellent,
Yeah.
always, because
No matter how
just
it
look at
came
the
or
numbers.
where. Yeah.
Just look at the numbers. Like, the numbers will suggest that if 75% of something is going in, and
Yeah.
you're able to save them, that's just one of the probabilities that happens.
Yeah.
You have to be given credit for it.
Yeah. Well, we've reached 40 minutes, so let's just preview the final.
Yeah.
Oh, one fluid side who can now this is the dynamics where like England can play both parts of the
Yes.
game, which I realized from this Danish game.
Yes.
They
Yes. Yeah. I agree. I had that realization as well. You're
Yeah.
right.
And Italy pick up the pace if they need it. But so far in the tournament, they've always they just stuck to their plans, and their plans always worked. So apart from the 20-30 minutes where they were under the pump against Spain.
Well, Spain, I think Spain were better. I think Spain had them, but the technical quality in that Spain side, like Pedri is the guy who's
being schooled by a 18-year-old.
technically he's their weakest link, but the fact that the movement, the distribution, the passing, like, everything was so on point with that Spain team. Like, credit to them, they were so good in that semi-final.
Yeah.
And they just showed you, like, that is one of the best displays of retaining the ball and retaining possession and trying to be incisive and trying to find space.
120 minutes, and eventually, of course, losing on penalties, because that's anyways a lottery. And there's no way to break
Bonucci
the game.
and Chiellini have faced those kinds of things before. It's not the first time that they faced it. Like, there were two equalities, right? Like, you couldn't. It's an unstoppable object, immovable object, unstoppable force. Like, whatever that saying is.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it was, right? The Italian defense was rigid as fuck, and the Spanish ball moving didn't give Italians a lot of opportunities to score.
Yeah.
So that's what it was. It was just a clash of two excellent teams and who knew exactly what they wanted to do. And that is why there was no decisive winner at the end of the 120 minutes.
What do you think? Bonucci and Chiellini going to cancel out the likes of Sterling? And
well,
Chiellini?
honestly, I think this Italy team is it's not going to be the Denmark game. There is not, like, England were able to find a lot of spaces against Denmark that they will not find against Italy.
Yeah.
Because this Italian team, like, when it gets to actual, like, they might not be completely based on the Catenaccio teams that we have seen from Italy in the past. But the DNA is still there. The DNA is not gone.
Yeah.
They have
it
two
will never
examples.
Go away. It will never go
They have two of the best ever to do it in that Italian Catenaccio form.
Yeah.
Two of the best ever to do it, standing together and loving their football. Like, look at how Chiellini is. Like, look at his attitude. Like, he is like a child in a.
Oh my God!
Like,
what was that?
Or something like that. Like
he babied Jordi Alba. Jesus! So I was like, what is
the
happening?
Confidence of the man. Like the fact that he was smiling. Like, I don't care what he did to Jordi Alba. Like you're in that situation. It's so tense. 120 minutes you've played,
Yeah.
and this guy is joking around, and he's got a big ass smile on his face,
Mm.
and that tells you that this is a man who's done everything he's had to ever do.
Yeah.
He's enjoying himself. He is loving this.
And this is
He's
the
loving the fact that there are fans there to cheer them on, and he's loving the fact that he's playing teams who are giving him new and tough challenges to face. He's just loving the football. That's the kind of way I want to enjoy this game. That's the if everybody was like that, who was just loving this and enjoying everything about it, and not getting hostile and petty and pathetic about it. Like Chiellini is the guy you're supposed to look at. If you're appreciating him, try and be a bit more like him, right?
Yeah,
Love this game
yeah.
because it is the beautiful game at the end of the day, right?
Mhm.
And that's why we're here.
Okay. Yeah. I lost the point, but I got the point back again. Yeah. I just wanted to say, like,
My bad.
yeah, this is the swan song for both the defenders, and they have to like, at least, I mean, not just for their
These guys
sake.
are going to the stage is for them. They
Yeah.
are going to receive, like they're going to receive it with open hands, right?
Yeah. And they also have, I mean, of course, now it's between like the old horses, and it's just a couple of them who lost the finals in 2012 4-0 to Spain, like the humbling there. And now they have 9
It's an
years.
8-year odyssey, like if you look
Yeah.
at it in a way.
And like 9 years
It's
later.
a 3-year odyssey also, like from the 2018 World Cup disaster that happened. Like there's an odyssey from there also. There are overlapping odysseys in this.
Yeah.
And it's awesome that Italy are here, and it's awesome that England are here. England have a 55-year-old odyssey. Like they have a monkey on their back. The fact that they're here, I think, is they should be proud of it. And
Yeah.
another thing that we were discussing, right? Like a pointer that we had pointed out, that this England team had not gone down in any of the games.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they fought back from it.
They did.
And so that is another thing that we learned about this English side in this semi-final. And that is another thing that we have to remember now, because this team can fight back. This team will not back down. We learned that, and that's an important lesson to learn in a tournament like this, right?
True.
So that gives England another
Impetus.
feather in their cap.
Yeah. But how much, like, how are you seeing the game going? I mean, I don't want to say
it'll be cagey as fuck. That's just a final, right? Like almost all of the finals you will watch. 2014 World Cup, 2016 Euros, not 2012 Euros, obviously, because Spain were just humbled Italy that day.
Yeah.
2010 World Cup was a prime example of a game that was terrible to watch. And it's not going to be. I wouldn't expect I would expect some sort of trepidation and some hesitation from both the teams, but like the two managers have such a good handle on their sides.
Yeah.
It's very easy for me to be wrong here. Very easy.
I think I'm going for Italy to score between the 80th and the 85th minute, the only goal of the game. That's gone.
That is, yeah. See, that's a prediction. That's a genuine, like if you're right about this, and yeah, that is impressive. Yeah, that's
I want the numbers to that, because I'm just breaking this out because the Spain Italy penalty shootout, and then I was actually checking yesterday. Did Denmark and England play each other? They play each other not a lot, not very often. So their only European Championship appearance was in '92, which Denmark won, and it was a 0-0. So I was like, okay, maybe this might also end in a draw at least, and then the penalties, because that was anyways a group stage, and this was a semi-final. So there was no way in which I could find similarities and then mirror it.
Yeah.
So that did not work out. But I'm just guessing with Mancini.
Yeah, but the problem with any England prediction you would do here is kind of off kilter, because we have not seen something like this from England in a long time, have we? Like even when they were good, like in the tournaments they did well, they were inspired by individuals. This is not an individual thing. This is there's a unity to this. This is a team. They've turned up with a team. This is what they were trying to achieve. Yeah, this is what you expect the Germans to be, not even want. Like you expect Germany to turn up as a team. It's not a set of superstars. England have always been a set of superstars who are in their own heads, and their coaches do not understand what the job actually entails. finally they actually have a guy who knows what this is about. He has a set of players who are willing to understand what he's talking about, and they're willing to execute in that fashion. That's something we haven't seen from England in a long time, and that is what makes this England team intriguing.
Yeah. I mean,
I
apart from
told
the,
you I wanted to love them, but I couldn't because of the surrounding nonsense that is there.
I mean, of course, we've expressed our dislike for the external factors. You've expressed your liking towards the team.
Yeah.
But I just can't imagine the thought of Harry Kane lifting a trophy. It just doesn't add up. Firstly, he took off Jordan Henderson as the captain. Like, at least, like, if
Yeah.
even the Spurs captain, I don't get it. I still think it's Lloris, right? So how did he give it
It
to
is
Kane?
Lloris, yes.
How did he give it to Kane? Like, because the only senior player during that Southgate era when like he got in was
I thought
Henderson
Harry
and
Maguire
Kane.
should be captain, honestly. He carries himself like one, right? He's
Maguire,
Manchester United captain and I love it.
yeah, Maguire came later, but like to strip off Henderson as the captain,
Yeah.
of course, Henderson at that point in time still had to like get out of Gerrard's shadows. And then of course he
Yeah.
like, but now maybe again.
Is that still an argument? Like, is there still a concept of Henderson with being in Gerard's shadow or something? Like
he
Gerard
doesn't
as an
he,
individual and as a player, he was better. But
no, in terms of
Henderson won
captaincy, like
more.
in terms of leading, like just
Yeah.
yeah. And then of
Yeah,
course
there
like
is no. That's what I'm saying. Like in terms of leading, how can you question this man's credentials?
yeah. That's what just I mean Henderson, like in terms of leader, like I'm pretty sure like he's the most vocal guy in the dressing room because
Because Harry Kane does not seem like that type of chap, does he?
I think he's too interested in cricket.
And I think no, it's just like some players are just they focus on them. Like they lead by example, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Like even for like I'll bring up an example. Like Cantona, he wasn't a vocal leader. He's never been vocally as like he was vocal about a lot of things, but as terms of leading the youth and
Yeah.
leading the younger players and taking them under, he wasn't verbal about it. Like some guys just lead by example, and I think Harry Kane is a good player to learn from by example because of the work and the effort that he's put in into his, like he was like, look at where he's come from, right? He was at loan at Norwich and Leicester and nobody batted an eye.
Yeah.
And this guy is now one of the best, like at least top 5 in world strikers, right?
Yeah,
Like
he's not the best striker. Let's not.
oh
drive
no,
this
like
narrative,
you can't suggest that with Lewandowski still
I
pumping
know
in
no,
goals. Like
everybody
it
like
makes no sense.
forgets Lewandowski all the time. Like
It is
put some
Lewandowski.
respect on the
Like the
name,
best
man.
striker in the world is Robert Lewandowski. Like even Ronaldo can't touch him in terms of just goal scoring and in terms of what they've won. Like, can you touch Lewandowski 3-year resume? No.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
He broke 30, 40-year-old records, man. Like, is that a joke? Gerd Muller's record. Like the way, like I was reading about it because I was fascinated. And the way people talk about Gerd Muller's record is like kind of like how Michael Jordan's records are dealt in the NBA. Like 3 consecutive championships, like the best player on the court consistently all the time, the craziest man on the court. Like those are those kinds of records, right? I think you could justify like the level of scoring and the level of brilliance that Gerd Muller had produced at the time from the people who had actually seen it. They will tell you about it in the sense that this was an unbreakable record. And Lewandowski went ahead and broke an unbreakable record. That means something. We maybe don't realize it, but it means a lot.
Yeah. How are you seeing this game going now? Like
I think Italy will win. I think if England get an early goal, that makes this game very interesting. Because this Italian side definitely has the ability to go through this England squad, and this like England are a good defense, but this Italy side, the way they, if Italy are allowed to dominate the ball, then I would definitely favor the Italian team to win this. But England, if England are able to somehow control the ball, then it becomes very 50-50. Then it can go either way. I think this Italy team is better than this English team, but maybe I'm biased there, but that's just how I look at it, because this Italian team is excellent on the ball and they can be that defensive rock that we saw against Spain. Like I don't think like they could get a more difficult challenge than the Spain challenge they faced.
Yeah.
Like no disrespect to Denmark, but that Spanish team was excellent.
Yeah. That's why like Luis Enrique did not have a problem losing that game. Anyways, when it goes to penalties, you shouldn't be complaining that you
it's so it's a roll of the dice, like it's poker. Then
Yeah.
it's you can't, it's the manager is not responsible for it after a point, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like sometimes fate is just fate, isn't it?
Yeah. But also,
Like
like,
that
if
is
you,
why I look, like that's how, like results are results, like you can't do anything about it. Like what you could control, you did. What Denmark could control in the England game, they did.
yeah.
But sometimes it doesn't work out in your favor. That's just how it is.
Mm,
Accepting loss is something that's very important, and
yeah.
if you don't accept that loss, then you can't move on. That's what
Yeah.
England's problem has been for so long. They can't accept the fact that they lost.
True. Yeah.
Like look at Germany, the way they reacted to losing to England. They were like, this English team was better. Quite a lot of people are willing to admit it.
Yeah.
like like you were unhappy about it, but I think you would be another one of those people who be like, yeah, they
Yeah.
deserved the game.
They were better. Yeah.
We
For
have to
sure.
realize that there are problems in our team. We knew, and in Germany's case, the problems are quite apparent. So you have to accept that, and that's
Mhm.
how you move on and you go on to the next phase.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think both of us are
Hmm.
going for Italy's
Yeah.
winning the second European Championship for themselves to go with 4 World Cups, or is it going to be 1 World Cup and 1 European Championship for England? My prediction is jersey number 8 from Italy. Is it Jorginho? But he
It is
wouldn't.
Jorginho, yes.
Yeah, but he takes the corners. I'm predicting him to score the corner between the 80th and the 85th minute. Okay,
Yeah, that's the if
that
he scores
wouldn't.
it. Well, honestly, if you had to pick a goal from a corner, I think Pickford is the keeper you would pick it against, right? Because of
Mm,
his height and his arms.
yeah, 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 guys. Okay. On that note, do we have anything else to add? What a
No, I think
tournament! It
it's
was.
been excellent. It's been so much fun to watch.
Yeah,
It's
such an
been,
awesome summer of football.
yeah,
For the players
yeah.
fucking need some rest, man. Just give them some
Yeah,
rest.
we honestly, I don't know if people will like this, but I need a break.
Yeah. We
I
are going to
need that
talk Formula One
month.
next week. We are going to talk Formula One
Yeah,
next week
let's talk about
and
something else. Like
Wimbledon.
let's,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll have to watch a bit more Wimbledon then. But yeah,
Okay.
we'll
On that.
talk about anything. I don't mind. Like I don't mind just. I used to watch tennis, and I play tennis, so I can
Yeah.
talk about it. But like I can't tell you about how the games went and stuff like that. We can discuss it. We can discuss a lot of things. Like yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. On
yeah.
that note, guys, it was a pleasure covering and reviewing and previewing the
Oh,
morning after the
definitely. This was
Euros.
awesome. Yeah.
Beautiful summer. We will do this again soon. In, I don't know, like 16 months' time when the World Cup is back again. Maybe, I don't know how many of us, between the two of us, are in Qatar doing the show from there. Yeah,
Yeah,
on that note,
I would love to go, but yeah, I didn't even have the thought before this.
yeah. On that note, we are going to say goodbye and do come back to this channel to check out our weekly podcast now, which will be back again from next week onwards. Until then, have an awesome summer, and we're going to talk to you soon. Take care.
Bye bye.